Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
While millions of Americans are waiting to see if the GOP passes its version of what's being dubbed Obamacare Light, millions of veterans are waiting to see where the fate of their health care lies. Now, that's thanks to some new wording in Paul Ryan's bill, could see up to 7 million veterans ineligible for the health care through the exchanges if they qualify for some other type of government health care. That means that they will be forced to visit the VA whether they want to or not. Now, President Trump, as well as many other Republican representatives, actually campaigned on reforming the VA and putting veterans first. And President Trump actually called the situation there at the VA absolutely unacceptable. So this could potentially be career suicide if they move forward with the language that's in this bill, forcing veterans to go to the VA before it has even been reformed. Now, my guest today knows all too well about the situation there at the VA is Army veteran Ken Gould. Now, he had gone to Veterans Affairs multiple times. There was some pretty dire symptoms, and they missed the opportunity to diagnose him with esophageal cancer. He had to actually go to a private hospital before they were able to diagnose him. But by that time, the VA, they drug their feet, so the cancer had had the opportunity to metastasize into his kidneys and liver, and now the doctors have only given him about 8.5 months to live. Ken, thank you so much for joining us today to tell your very important story.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on.
So tell us give us a little background and where your story sort of begins.
Well, obviously, I joined the military. I did my 8 years, honorably discharged about 4 months ago. Around August, I started having symptoms, getting sick once in a while, things like that. It was a meal a day. It was once a week, twice a week. And then it kind of progressed. I just thought maybe it was I don't know. I was just not sure what it was. And I basically myself didn't go to the VA until November. In November, I visited the emergency room. The gentleman asked me why I was there. Basically, he told me that I didn't need to be there. So I had to call my primary care doctor. They set you an appointment. Well, it took a month to get an appointment there. So I go there. Basically, the doctor tells me you have acid reflux. Well, I explained to him I don't have that. I can't. It's not that I'm having acid reflux. I can't eat and things just come up. And he says, well, I'm going to give you pills. And then I explained I can't swallow pills. So there you have that. So I went back home, still continued to get sick, and actually progressively got worse to where I wasn't eating but once a week, twice a week. I could keep some water down at that time. Through that time, I went and visited the VA, Audie Murphy Hospital 3 different times, one a Friday, Saturday, and then a Sunday, consecutively. What I did was about the 13th of the month of January. It took this long. I went in and they did my blood work. Of course, it took 9 hours to get seen in the emergency room, which is average for the VA, it seems like right now. They took me into my blood work, said, hey, your blood work's great. Your kidneys look fine, your liver, blood, everything seems great. We really can't help you. I was like, well, I can't eat. He's like, well, I don't see how that's possible. So after we had a discussion, I left. Basically went another week, hadn't eaten now. By that week, I had been almost 2 weeks since I had an actual meal. And yes, it is hard to believe that, but went back in again, same scenario, got told again, hey, we don't understand, your blood's fine. And really, even at this point, the guy actually doctor folds his arm, leans against the wall and just says, I don't believe you. There's no way. So he and I had a bit of a discussion again. I left, came back a week later. This time now I was not only getting sick, but I was actually vomiting blood. So I figured for sure the VA's got to do something for me. There's no way. This has got to be my way in. And once again, all I got talked to about was a prior condition I had. It had nothing to do with this. Said he didn't understand why. He said basically I needed to get a scope and see an oncologist, but there's nothing they could do for me today. So I just have to come back next week sometime and set up an appointment and see what they could do for me. So at that point, went home, basically couldn't get out of bed hardly anymore. Hadn't eaten now for 3 weeks. At this point, I decided it was either go to a hospital and pay or die. because I knew that something was really, really wrong. So I went to the Northeast Baptist Hospital in San Antonio. Within an hour of being there, they had me in the emergency room. Said, hey, I showed him what was going on. I basically had a demo it to get anybody to understand. He's like, man, you're really sick. Let's get you upstairs. Next morning, the doctors did a scope. The following day, I was actually diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And at that point, the doctor said, there's no way you could have eaten or drinking anything. Your tube basically to your stomach is closed. There's no way anything could get through there. So we're going to take care of you. And at that point, the doctor, and I get a little emotional, basically saved my life at that point. And I made it so I could eat again. And it was awesome. So at that point, I stayed there for about a week or so. They took care of me. I gained about 8 pounds that week. And what I did was I called the VA and told them what was going on. The hospital actually got in contact with the VA as well and said, look, you have a soldier here that needs to be taken care of. So they said, okay. So they called me. I got home and I got a call from the VA saying, we're going to set you an appointment to see an oncologist. They said about 5 days to get you an appointment. Well, 7-8 days go by. So I hear nothing. So finally I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to the hospital. So I went to the emergency room again last time with all the paperwork, all the documentation and pictures of my esophagus. Walked in and said, here you go. Now let's do something about this. And they actually, at this point, they realized that I had esophageal cancer and that I was terminal. So from there, they took me in the hospital.
Wow. And of course, your story is, I feel like a lot of people out there will be very familiar with your story. And you really wanted to tell this story because you've met people that have these same symptoms and then they get turned away. And then, of course, if they don't have, if it's not so dire that they don't decide to just go get some treatment they might have to pay for, well, then it might be a little bit too late for them. I know you were telling me that this private hospital actually was kind enough to treat you for free just because of the situation. But then, of course, had to send you back to the VA. They had to ultimately give you your care. Now, what do you want to see happen quickly? What do you want to see happen? What do you want to tell President Trump and people there who have the power of your health in their hands?
Well, what I want to see is I want to see other veterans step up and fight for your own care. If you don't step up and fight for yourself, they're not going to, they have their own plan when you get there. It seems to me that they don't listen to us at all when we tell them what's wrong with you. I've explained every time I went in what was going on, and I begged them to help me. I didn't get any help. What I want to see is a little more caring, just like at the private hospital. I mean, it's amazing to me. You can go to a private hospital and get treated better than anywhere else. And I keep hearing the VA is the best. We're going to do this for everybody, and we're going to take care of the veterans and the ones that fought for our country. But we still get treated like second-class citizens. We never get help unless you're fighting. I mean, you have to fight them to get in there, and they just ignore your symptoms and try to treat you with all these different pills, and I don't believe in that. And people need to hear us, and we all need to stand up and fight for ourselves because way too many people, I've met a guy, I went to my primary care doctor and was talking to the guy behind the counter that was taking my information, and I told him what was going on. He goes, I have the same problem. And I said, what did they say? He goes, well, he said, I have acid reflux. I said, man, don't take that. Don't listen to them. You need to fight for yourself. You need to set an appointment up right now and get you in a scan. And I'm going to check back with him because I made him promise me that he was going to get checked out. Right.
Well, we just have about a minute and a half left, and I really wanted to draw people's attention to a GoFundMe page that your daughter has actually set up. You have been diagnosed with this terminal cancer. Your daughter she doesn't have much time left with you. Oh, sorry, it's hurting me. So I know she wants to help you achieve as much on your bucket list as possible. The two of you are going to take this trip together. Tell us a little bit about what's on this bucket list and where people can go to donate.
Well, if you follow that link, you'll go and see our page. They can follow me in my journey through chemotherapy and those types of things. And also, we put on there the trips we take. Right now, they're little trips because that's really all I can really afford to do, which is, it is what it is. But this is a special time for us. I don't have much longer left.
Yes. I know. And you've already had some success there. It looks like you're about $3,000 toward that $10,000 goal. So I hope everyone out there that's watching this, just help them get to that goal as fast as possible. And Ken, thank you so much for telling your story and, for your daughter. You guys, my heart goes out to you all and putting your story out there. Veterans do need to be heard.
Thank you, ma'am. I do appreciate everything.
This is one of the biggest secrets out there. The missing link of why our ancestors, whether you were in Africa or ancient Albion, which is England today, why our ancestors were so much stronger. I mean, there are huge archaeological reports, all sorts of anthropology studies, you can look them up for yourself, that show that humans, just an average farmer of 10,000 years ago in England, was stronger than Olympic athletes today. In the final equation, everyone knows our modern society has lost its vitality. The sperm counts are down like 90%. People are falling apart. They're totally depressed. They're unhappy. What is going on? Every ancient culture was obsessed with what I'm about to reveal to you. Today we call it bone broth, and for thousands of years our ancestors enjoyed its benefits before it became lost to our modern diets of processed junk. That's why I'm so excited to announce the product that is undoubtedly the jewel in the crown of Infowars Life products. Caveman. We lost our vitality because we just ignored the ancient traditions. Everyone knew that you used all the parts of the animal. You used the skin to cover yourself for shelter. You used the meat for sustenance, the fat for cooking, but you used the bones for strength. We are now introducing Caveman by InfoWarsLife.com, the ultimate in true paleo nutrition with bone broth, turmeric root, chaga mushroom, and 7 total primal superfoods in a single great tasting formula. The bone is so amazing. From the outside structure full of minerals and key cofactors to the marrow that produces the blood for the body. This is the engine of the life essence. I've made a lot of important points here, but this is the one you need to research for yourself because it's so key. High-quality bone broth helps support healthy muscles and connective tissue, while the active compounds in turmeric do battle on the cellular level and help fight free radicals. And collagen is essential to aid healthy tendons, ligaments, and muscle tissue. This is an absolute win-win. You get an amazing product produced right here in America. You support Infowars and all we're doing to promote freedom and the restoration of our republic and promotion of freedom worldwide. The journey towards better health and giving our bodies these amazing compounds that God created starts at InfoWarsLife.com. 3 years in the making, incredible research, and the very best ingredients. I'm Alex Jones, and I may not be a caveman, but compared to these trendies out there in the street, I'm as close as it gets. Join me at InfoWarsLife.com and get your caveman formula today.